five-car invert with Matt Waldbaum on pole, and it's going to shift and shuffle the order just a little bit. The big note there is that Matan Rosenberg is going to start in 7th place, and curious what that is for. We're trying to find out for you, but grid on screen, Ayrton Grimm, P6 here, Tom. That's a driver I'm keeping my eye on.
Yeah, this is our one of our favorites, the invert race. Matt Waldbaum going to take us to the green flag over Emil Tab. Let us know that he had a tire failure in race 2, that he had to run some old tires in race 3. He's going to do the best with it that he can. He still starts second over Eric Magnussen and Aaron Lichty starting side by side. Lichty picking up that race 3 win a little bit earlier today in pretty commanding fashion. Drama-free, but commanding fashion, just over Joel Morrison, Ayrton Grimm. And again, Matan Rosenberg, we are waiting on finding out why, but starting in the 7th spot, even though he finished 4th in the previous race. Cyril Shukla, Matan Rosenberg, and actually listed in here twice for some other reason, Daniel Gerardo will be 10th. Here we come to the green flag.
Yeah, coming up the hill here is the last couple of rows. Roll on your grid, waiting for the green flag. There goes the green, and we're underway at GRIDLIFE Summer Apex. Good launch from Matt Waldbaum on driver's left, cleared Emil Tab. Another poor start for a moment, but now they're pulling a little bit more even here, Tom, towards turn 1. It's S2000 versus MX-5.
It's a really excellent start from the S2000. No doubt a Corvette C8 pushing that Miata down to the apex of turn number 1 into the braking zone. Waldbaum's going to sweep the outside and take the point. Magnussen trying to keep it side by side with a Tab, not going to be able to do it. Keeps it side by side with Lichty instead. The whole field through turn 1.
And Magnussen will be a tough car to beat. You see Rosenberg up a couple of spots there in behind Lichty's number 66 C8 Corvette. Clean through 3, up to turn 5. This is where you get brave on the brakes. Your first real passing zone after it feels like a Chicago traffic jam into turn 1 all the time. You get some clear racetrack to sort things out, reshuffle the deck, and now they're side by side for lead again to 5.
Waldbaum feeling the pressure, goes full defensive. Emil Tab running a high power setup in that Miata. It sounds a little silly, but it's true, and that's how he's able to pull around the outside. It's heavy though, and you can see it. It's not able to roll up for turn number 5. It's a drag race now to turn 6. Magnussen picks Waldbaum to follow. You take a look through the rest of the field, screaming through turn number 5. They're still side by side. Waldbaum trying to close the door. Is going to be able to do it? No, leaves the space, embraces the race. We're drag racing down to turn 8.
This is great stuff here. Side by side for the top spot. Austin Hurdle and Michael Pagano tight quarters into turn 7. They're still door to door now. Waldbaum in the ASMS 2000 pulling ahead here at turn 8, and he's not quite clear. Emil Tab still pulls up alongside. Here comes the Falcon Corvette now up to the inside of Lichty, and this battle has to get sorted because here comes the championship points leader to 4th place here, Tom, through the carousel.
Yeah, down the back straight. Matan Rosenberg able to clear Aaron Lichty, so he picks up the 4th spot. Matt Waldbaum leads the race. He's got a lot of family here this weekend and a baby on the way. He'll be stoked about being at the front through the kink for the first time. Now that car does have a little bit of a straight line deficit by design for the rest of them, and right now Emil Tab would barely lose out on the weekend to Rosenberg. He needs to run. He needs to win this thing.
Yeah, he needs to finish ahead of the 484 for sure, and maybe a couple more positions on top of that. Down into Canada corner now. Waldbaum, Tab, and then Magnussen. 1, 2, 3, and they're coming up the hill with the Falcon Corvette in trail. Then it's Lichty. Then it's Cyril Shukla up to the top 5 there in the M3 behind.
And how about Carlos Mendez? Had a big slip up in the oil left by a car's expiring engine. He's raised his Condor Civic BMW up into the 7th position. Dan Giraldo in the Lexus up into 8th. We have a whole bunch of interesting cars that have not seen the top 10 yet this weekend, racing in the top 10 right now. Look at Matan Rosenberg able to pull out and use the straight line speed of that car to easily pull up alongside and will no doubt clear Magnussen. Is he going to get a look on Tab as well? No, Tab's going to cover him.
He does cover him, and he's actually going to push Emil Tab to the lead. Emil Tab in the MX-5 goes to the top spot. Not enough brakes on the Corvette, though. Waldbaum's going to stay stuck on the outside lane through turn 1, but he can't cover off the move from the Falcon Corvette to the inside, down to turn 3 this time. Here comes the Cayman Blake Korth up to the inside here. So now it's MX-5 versus Corvette. Good run there for Emil Tab through turn 3.
They need to be careful with too much bump drafting. That sometimes gets looked frowned upon from race direction, but in general, that will put Emil Tab into the 1st position, leaving turn number 3, but all that straight line speed. Rosenberg was 2+ seconds clear per lap of everybody. Look, he's just easily alongside, will maybe clear him by the braking zone. Brakes a little bit early. Tab pushes the issue down to turn number 5.
Yeah, really deep on the brakes, but he had to get aggressive with it. It's going to hold up Rosenberg there at the exit of the corner. It's going to open the door for Waldbaum. Here comes Lichty. Here comes Magnussen. 3 wide up to turn 6 with the ASMS 2000 up the inside for the top spot here, Tom.
Lichty using the pointy front end again to help Waldbaum get back to the front of this race. Waldbaum and Tab did this last lap. They're going to do it again. And this is the 2nd time Lichty has had to go side by side through turn 7 this weekend as well, trying to hold an axle in front of Matan Rosenberg's rear bumper, deep on the brakes with that modern C8. Magnuson back down to 5th.
Geraldo in that Alexis moving forward. You mentioned Carlos Mendez blew the motor last week, had to put a new motor in, and it's a brand new N52 in that car. But again, it's the lighter cars that have gone out to the front this time. S2000 over MX5 over the Corvettes, plural. Then Eric Magnuson, who's dropping positions here. This is a big deal for the weekend championship if Emil Tab can get back to the lead and steal it back from Matt Waldbaum.
And the longer this race runs, the more the needle turns towards the advantage for Matt Waldbaum. We saw Emil Tab really struggle with tire degradation in the previous race, although he mentioned he was on those older tires. It looks like he's changed wheels, so probably a little bit better, fresher set on that car right now. Rosenberg able to defend as Lichty and Magnuson now going at it. This is a great race for Salil Shukla too, running in the 6th position.
Gonna have to get real wide on this front straightaway for these lighter cars to hold off that Corvette. It's got at least 4 or 5 miles an hour, and everybody else down into turn 1. Now Magnuson dealing with the 66 of Lichty, a little bit tight into turn 14. And here comes Matan up to the inside of Tab. Tab is not making this easy for Rosenberg. It's been fun to watch him play defense, but now he can't do it anymore. Watch the positions here as they come across the line. This is going to change a little bit with Magnuson falling down the order. Here they come, Tom, across the stripe.
Tab with a little bit of a mistake. That's what opened the door for Matan Rosenberg to get through so easily as he slipped up through the apex of turn number 14. Now Waldbaum realizes he's probably a sitting duck at this point as the fastest car on the track by a long shot has caught up to him on this inverted race. A little bit of smoke from one of our contenders down the front straight. I think it's a 240SX. All good here. You're going to see that smoke enter the frame here in just a moment if we stick to this camera.
We mentioned fastest car on track. It's actually Austin Hurdle right now. Just went purple that time through in the 370Z. And Waldbaum held off Rosenberg leaving turn 3, but now the run up to 5. We'll see if he can continue to go defensive. You're going to have to get your elbows out, get defensive, make that S2000 as wide as possible, Tom. You're not going to win a race at Road America this way without being extremely aggressive. Last time it was Tab late on the brakes, but Waldbaum I don't think has enough for him.
No, not quite this time around. Just too much straight line speed to overcome for Waldbaum, but now he's getting into the section of the track where he can utilize a little bit more of the handling. Problem is where do you go with it? This is Austin Hurdle in that 370Z, back a shot. He is the quickest car lap time wise on the circuit, chasing down Thomas Lathrop. Both of those E90 BMWs finding their way into the top 10 this race. That's exciting stuff.
Oh, look at, man, Emil Tab on the inside of turn 7 for the 3rd consecutive lap, this time battling Eric Magnuson in the gold BMW here. And here comes Lichty now on the attack late into turn 8.
Man, that angle looked like Lichty really dove in there. I think it was a little less aggressive than it looked on screen, but really aggressive stuff between two guys who know each other better than almost anybody else on this grid. Magnuson has raced his way from 5th back to 3rd, so the BMW is finding some legs here after struggling to find his way to the front after the beginning of this weekend.
What's Salil Shukla's best finish ever, Tom? I think P5 might be it if he can get one more spot here as they navigate through the kink. Oh, look at Tab just wringing the neck of that MX5, trying to get everything he can out of it. Ooh, Thomas Lathrop, big slide there. And Austin Hurdle, fastest car on the road right now with the purple on the screen, goes up alongside for 9th place.
It's a big slide for one of the BMWs as they came through. I think that might have been Joe Tulo. But yeah, Austin Hurdle having to adjust his line on the exit, left him sliding through it. But I think he's going to get a run down the inside of Canada corner. Here's the gap for the lead. The 484 of Matan Rosenberg leads the way over Matt Waldbaum, who started on pole thanks to the invert, but wasn't able to hold off Rosenberg so far. Coming up past halfway, look at how much faster Waldbaum is able to enter turn number 14, but it's going to all evaporate right up that hill.
Yeah, and again, the interesting thing also is these front two cars. The front car is an 8-speed automatic gearbox. The car in second is a DCT. The first car with an H-pattern gearbox is Magnuson in 3rd place, then Emil Tab, and then it's Lichty again with a paddle shift box. So just different transmissions you see cycling to the front here on these long straights. Reducing shift time helps a lot.
I missed the pass for 4th, but Lichty's actually ahead now of Emil Tab. That would have happened somewhere between the carousel and now. I think it might have happened even towards the kink. Hurdle has gone by on Thomas Lathrop. And Matan Rosenberg does not have the dominance he had. He was maybe the angriest driver I've ever seen out of that drive. I said the angriest drive I've ever seen from him in race number 3. Was just on a tear, unstoppable to get himself back into contention for this race. But this race itself doesn't seem to quite have the dominance from race 3.
Yeah, Matt Waldbaum's had to drive really hard to keep up with him, but he is doing that. 0.7 of a second at the stripe. Ooh, see that car wobbling on the brakes there, Tom, looking very nervous on the binders into turn 5.
Things have stabilized. Shukla gets gapped just a little bit, but Emil Tab, again, kind of floundering in that 2,800-pound Miata. going for trying to minimize straight line loss, but it looks like that car is just a little bit too heavy for the little chassis to keep up.
You just wonder, like, is there a middle ground with this car between what he ran at Mid-Ohio and this? It's like so close to being perfect, Tom. You don't get a lot of chances to dial it in when you only get one chance a year here.
And the other thing is the only car running the 15-inch wheels in this front group, which means a smaller tire, which means less heat tolerance. He might just be having a little bit of a tougher time today with the raised ambient temps and track temps. Eric Magnussen is hunting down Matt Waldbaum ever so slightly. Those cars, they've kind of agreed very, very well paired for each other. The closest car that Matt Waldbaum thinks on the track to him, though, is actually, the way they make speed anyway, Aaron Lichty.
Oh, big lateral slide. Look at the best lap times we're seeing in this race, 2:33s and 2:34s. That's a couple seconds off, like seconds plural off of where we've been all weekend. That just goes to show you the track temperature is so hot. These cars are not running nearly as fast as they were earlier in the weekend. So the heat tolerance is a big issue in this race. If you can match what you did in qualifying or even race one, you'd be flying right now.
Waldbaum keeping the pressure on. He has to, because he can't slip up any bit at all. Austin Hurdle looked like he was going for a move on Dan Giraldo for 8th position. We'll see where they come across the line into turn 14. The flagger looking a little more alert this lap. Are we going to get the white? Yes, we are. White flag flies coming to the last lap of Circuit Summer Apex Road America.
Coming up the hill here, 4 miles left for Rosenberg in the 484, the Falcon Corvette. A little bit of defense happening deeper in the field. Now here comes Magnussen up alongside Waldbaum. I thought Waldbaum might stay driver's right and try to get a push, but he did not do that. He'll let the gold BMW get to the inside, drag race into turn 1. Magnussen pursuing Rosenberg for the season championship. Waldbaum, though, overcommits on the brakes and does a nice job hanging on to second.
Yeah, ramps the outside just like he did at the start. Really, really nice stuff there, but he's going to have the same problem once more this long run down to turn number 5. Magnussen's going to tuck in, get a little bit of the draft. Lichty has dropped off, Tab dropped off even further. The other best battle on the track is if Austin Hurdle can challenge that Lexus running there in the 8th position. Carlos Mendez doing a great job to maintain 7th. And what does Magnussen have?
Oh boy, side by side for second place again. Waldbaum going to try to go later on the brakes again. It's really nervous on the binders down here, though. Magnussen's going to have to run the long way around. It's another left-hander coming up here. If Waldbaum can get through the gears cleanly, not quite.
Doesn't have enough oomph up that hill. The big LS with the torque pulls that car up towards the Corvette bridge, appropriately enough, into turn number 6, and Waldbaum slips to the bronze medal position on the very last lap. He'll be a little frustrated with that, but that's the ebb and flow that is the reality of this class. Does Aaron Lichty have anything left, or maybe can Waldbaum keep the pressure on through this coming section? It's his best section on the circuit. Watch if that Aero S2000 can sneak up on the back end of that BMW just a little bit through here.
Yeah, he's been really good through the carousel, and the tail half of this lap, to your point. Look at Magnussen washing out a little bit. It's going to let Waldbaum tuck in, but you can't really make a pass here, so he'll have to get very aggressive through the kink and carry some speed. He'll lose some ground to Canada corner, but we've seen Waldbaum be very good in the last 2 turns as well.
It's a cool crack of the upshift underneath the audio there as Matt Waldbaum pulling 5th gear at the exit. That's 100 miles an hour for all of these cars at the exit of the carousel. 115 plus. Emil Tab said 120 yesterday. Hurdle now looks to the inside of the Lexus a little further back. Waldbaum, he's peeking, he's peeking, he's peeking. He's not there.
Not quite, but he's got another opportunity to do it. Matan Rosenberg in the Falcon Corvette started 7th on the grid, carved his way through the field while the front 2 battled in the opening moments of this race. Snuck on through, then was able to defend nicely from there on out. Magnussen close, though, in this last corner. Takes a big send into turn 14. I don't think it's going to be enough, though, as they leave turn 14, heading up the hill. Championship gold for Rosenberg to repeat what he did last season as they come up the hill to the checkered flag. Here they come. Watch the weekend points as well. This is how things will sort. Contact between Hurdle and Giraldo as they leave the final corner. Rosenberg beats Magnussen by just 0.2 of a second. Then Waldbaum and Lichty 3rd and 4th. And watch the points here. Rosenberg 94 on the weekend. Magnussen 79. Emil Tab 77 points. He'll go home with a trophy in that MX-5 Miata.
Well, it started so strong for Tab, but Magnussen just unstoppable for him in these last 2 races as he slipped a little bit further back and a little further back in the races 3 and 4. A lot of fun to watch. Great jockeying and great embracing the race. We mentioned it before, but GLTC, so much fun to watch for that reason. season, I don't think we saw a single car with a ride or an off on camera, at least in that entire race.
Look how even Magnussen, Tab, and Lichty were this weekend. 79 points, 77, 73. For all those cars to really earn that many collectively, that was a very even battle. Again, Rosenberg a little bit of a top dog here this weekend with that power and that 8-speed automatic gearbox really playing to its strengths. But for everyone else, it was an absolute dogfight there for P2 and P3 on the order.
Thumbs up from Jake Jornstad to Joe Tulo, E30 versus S2000, and having a good time there, finishing in the mid-15s. Mid-teens there for 16th and 17th, respectively. Field peeling off and headed straight to impound for hugs, high fives, and maybe a couple dyno pulls before the trophy ceremony in about an hour's time.
Let's have a look here at our results for Eibach GLTC race number 4. Matan Rosenberg wins it by 2/10 over Eric Magnussen. Matt Waldbaum, man, that S2000 looks really, really solid in the back half of the lap. Aaron Lichty and Emil Tab winning Formula cars 4th and 5th time.
So Lil Shukla takes the BMW with the BMW motor to the 6th position. More BMWs rounding out this field. Carlos Mendez in the top 10, finishing 7th. Dan Araldo in 8th in the Lexus. Austin Hurdle was not able to get by, even with the drag race at the finish of that race in 9th. Thomas Lathrop, another BMW E90 in 10th. Louis Chatroop, who was running up in the top 5 in the previous races, slipped just a little bit in this one, comes home 11th after a good race ahead of Blake Korth and John Gatos in the number 444. That was the car we saw go for the ride in the kink. Kyle Hale and Michael Pagano round out the top 15.
Yeah, Jake Jornstad, P16. He and Kyle were involved in a collision race 3 earlier today, so they both up inside the top 20. Nice rebounds for both those drivers. Joe Tulo, and then looking down the rest of the order, here's Andy Smedegard, Matt Beck, we saw with the smoke coming out of his car. We didn't exactly see what happened to Andy, but dropped down the order, P21.
No, and actually Dana Baczynski racing that car this race, they just didn't swap transponders, but it was an axle failure the previous race. Have to wonder if something similar this one.
Yeah, unfortunate there. So Eibach GLTC race number 4 concluded. And let's have a look at the highlights here from the 4th and final race of Summer Apex. Green flag on the start. It was Matt Waldbaum and Emil Tab here. And while they raced side by side for the first half a lap, this was also opportunity. Look at this big set there by Emil Tab, just clinging to any hope he could find on this run up to turn 6.
Left nowhere for Rosenberg to go. We went nearly 3 wide with 5 cars up into turn 6. This amazing shot from the drone. And this is how I believe Kevin Magnussen started to keep the pressure before he finally got around Aaron Lichty. So look, it's Lil Shukla running just outside the top 5 for this entire race. And at this point, Matan Rosenberg had gotten free and clear of Matt Waldbaum, who started to feel the pressure big time from Magnussen. Got that look down the inside, but it threw Waldbaum's rhythm off just enough that he could motor pass down into turn 5.
Yeah, Aaron Lichty watching on, setting the target on the back of the ASMS 2000. Wasn't able to quite get there. And Magnussen, with another lap, Magnussen was looking pretty good, but checkered flag in race 4 in Eibach GLTC.